The doorbell rings. This annoying ding-dong, normal during the day, but annoying when he wakes you up from sleep closer to midnight. I dozed off watching what turned out to be a terrible movie. When my wife left for Uber, I had free time and no more kids at home to worry about. I was stalling, waiting for my wife to get home from her bachelorette party. I got into the habit of waiting for her. I wanted her to feel awkward sneaking home after a bachelorette party, because nothing in our house was the way it should be after 25 years of marriage. There were 3 weeks left from tomorrow until our 25th wedding anniversary. This should have been looked forward to. A big family holiday, but this was not destined to happen. My wife turned out to be a cheater. I had no intention of being in her life when this milestone anniversary arrived, just that she didn't know what I knew yet. We got married young, had kids quickly, and were now empty nesters with no kids at home to worry about if we broke up. The fact is that I had no intention of divorcing her. I was going to kill her. 9 months ago, I found out that not only was she cheating with her longtime boss, but she had probably been cheating on me for several years. Her boss happens to be my brother Jake, my big, handsome brother, who was the favorite son in the family, a guy 2 years older than me, the life and soul of any party, and in whose shadow I lived my whole life. I discovered their betrayal many months ago when she accidentally left her phone open while she left to get ready for her bachelorette party. I picked up her phone to give it to her and pressed the button. Really by accident, causing the screen to light up and a WhatsApp message notification to appear with the first few words clearly visible. Why did she have a message from my brother at home? They were together at work most of the day. Even more alarming, the message couldn't be clearer. Are you ready for hardcore sex? That was all that was quoted in the notification, so I opened the entire WhatsApp conversation with Jake and was able to see this message and more. See you at the usual place. I booked room 245. Just come to the room. I'll see you at 7:30. It's a shame we can't stay the night, but I guess you'll have to go back to Onichan. There was a full feed of messages, and there was all the evidence that these two pieces of pond scum had been cheating on me for many months. What really infuriated me, even beyond the obvious betrayal, was the way they talked about him providing what I couldn't, my wife joining my brother in mocking and humiliating me as a man, a lover, a husband. If my wife knew how much my feelings for her had cooled over the past months, she hid it really well. Of course, there were times when she asked if I was okay, when we spent quiet evenings without talking, without touching, without the tender gestures common between husband and wife. I always brushed it off as nothing, hoping that it would at least bother her. Apparently, she wasn't bothered by the fact that our sex life had seriously diminished. She probably didn't notice, because their messages indicated that her needs were met 3-4 times a week, and whenever possible at work, and every Friday at the bachelorette party. Judging by the messages, it must have been a big relief for her, the bitch, not to have to pretend she liked sex with me. If she didn't love me anymore, she could have ended our marriage and had sex with whoever she wanted, but instead, she played games with me like a total whore. I would have preferred a divorce even though it would have hurt since I loved her completely before I saw that fateful message. The only exception to our sex life was when my brother and his family went to Florida for 2 weeks. It seemed that, as the first weekend without him approached, she became more and more in love. She pressed her whole body against me late at night and early in the morning. I angrily had sex with her twice in those 2 weeks, but most of the time she was clearly confused by my lack of interest. I wanted to resist her even more, but not only did I need a little relief myself, but I also didn't want to completely ignore her so she would realize that I knew she was a cheater. So why didn't I just confront them? Take it easy. I was developing my plan to kill them. Yeah. You thought I was a doormat for these 2 pieces of shit-cheating bastards? No way. I was hoping to avoid a life sentence. But ultimately, if that's how the cards turned out, I would rather live with that than the pain of being betrayed by my wife and brother. Over many months, I had time to think through literally dozens of plans to end them. Of course, wishing them both dead was a big deal. They were usually only together when they had sex, or at work, or at a family event. How to kill them without it being too obvious that I did it. I thought about paying for a share on a family outing, but that would mean putting innocent lives, not least my own, at risk at a family gathering. I was wondering if there was a possible way to use carbon monoxide poisoning as a silent killer. Yes, there have been cases in hotels, but the place they used for their dates was state-of-the-art, using solar energy for most of its heating and electricity needs, so it's not realistic. I thought about so many scenarios and saw problems in each, and it began to feel like it was becoming increasingly difficult to be normal around any of them, especially when we were all together as a big family. They were just doing the right thing by trying not to be too obvious, suggesting that their audience knew nothing about their romance. But for me, knowing that they were scammers of the worst kind, I saw fleeting glances and gestures, casual touches when they thought no one was looking. Sweet fucking dove, making my rage grow for months. It made me sick to realize how much fun they got from showing each other how much they enjoyed torturing me, not just from the sex, but from all the intimacy they had no right to share together. In my opinion, their actions showed how much they disrespected me and almost certainly hated me. Why they hated me, I had no idea. I always supported them, although I was a little jealous of my brother, and I never gave my wife a reason to disrespect her. I treated her well in and out of bed, and she never had sex with me without at least one orgasm, and often more. Now I was almost at my limit. I formed my final plan. As stupid as it was, I decided that I was going to expose their fraud and shoot them both, and then try my luck with the justice system, hoping to use the temporary link insanity, but was stopped by the knowledge that I would almost certainly be sentenced to a long prison sentence, and that my own life would be ruined as much as theirs. Ideally, I would have found a plan that would allow me to reveal to them what I knew and have them live for a while in fear of divorce and the breakup of both families, while in my own mind, it would be clear that I would kill them. I just didn't see a way to achieve this. I decided to kill them both shortly before our 25th anniversary. It was non-negotiable. I won't celebrate my 25th birthday with my wife. The anniversary happened to be on a Saturday, so my final plan was to follow her to a regular Friday night bachelorette party at the hotel, find out what room they were in, then the blood would flow and I would look them both in the eye while killing them. Ding, ding, damn it, someone is knocking on the door. The stupid wife must have forgotten her keys. "I'm coming," I shouted, but when I opened the door, instead of my wife, 2 policemen were standing there. The senior told me who they were, Officers O'Reilly and Bukowski, and could they please come in. I invited them in, and they looked so serious before O'Reilly spoke. "Sir, are you Mr. Richards, husband of Irene Richards?" I nodded in confirmation. He continued, "Mr. Richards, I am sorry to inform you that your wife was involved in a fatal car accident this evening. Sir, your brother Jacob was driving the car they were in, and he also lost his life." Before he could add anything, I started giggling like a maniac. I couldn't believe my luck. Not only was I saved from jail, but we had long-term insurance policies, one of which was to pay off the mortgage in the event of death. To the remaining spouse was not forced to sell the house. Of course, the mortgage was almost paid off, so it wasn't such a big burden. But there was another policy, for $500,000. Not only will I not go to jail, but I will also significantly improve my financial situation. The officers looked at me with concern and asked if they could call someone to be with me in this tragic hour. "No, officers, thank you for your concern, but life has just done me a favor. The two had an affair for over 9 months. I've spent most of my waking hours trying to figure out how to end this. It's over now. It's natural. Officers of justice, I'm fine. In fact, I'm going to have a drink to celebrate. Would you like to join me?" They, of course, refused, being on duty. Not to mention they thought I was a bastard for rejoicing in the death of my wife and brother, and they left, asking me to call the morgue tomorrow morning to conduct a proper identification. I thought I was wise not to tell them that I planned to kill both traitors in less than 3 weeks. There is no point in provoking complications. I have already shown my true feelings to the police, but I will play the devastated husband with friends and family for a while until I collect the insurance money to pay off the mortgage and fill my wallet. I slept like a baby that night and went the next morning to make sure they had not come back to life during the night. When I got to the morgue, I examined both bodies. My sister-in-law, my brother's wife, could not come to terms with this and asked me to identify both Jake and Irene. The orderly warned me, "Damn, what a mess." And yes, from the looks of both of them, it probably happened quickly, but oh, how I hoped that they had time to understand what was coming next, and that it was very painful, no matter how fast. It turns out that the driver of the 18-wheeler had driven too many miles and hours that day, fell asleep at the wheel, and ran a red light, running over them, causing their car to break into two separate pieces, leaving the passengers with no chance. How damn sad. Fortunately, no resurrections occurred during the night. Both corpses remained stone dead, ready for hellfire. Well, in her case, it will be a good cremation. If anyone wants her ashes, please do so. Otherwise, I will throw them in the nearest trash container. My problems that I have been struggling with for 9 months are resolved. I don't need to ruin my future, but in some ways I would have loved to have met them face to face before I killed them. But it was still a big deal that I got rid of the bitch without any consequences for my future. You need to love karma. Life goes on, but not for this pair of scammers. I could smile again after 9 months of heartbreaking agony. Fuck them both. Subscribe to our channel so that your second shaft doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.